Well, listen, if you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate.
When a rising conservative star took on Whoopi Goldberg, and what happens when a young, unapologetic political firebrand, backed by the force of an entire movement, steps onto one of the most iconic liberal talk shows in America and dismantles its reigning queen. Buckle up, because what unfolded on The View was nothing short of explosive. In a moment that rocked daytime television, 27-year-old rising star Karoline Leavitt walked into the lion's den and left viewers stunned, including the unshakable Whoopi Goldberg herself. For years, Whoopi has reigned supreme on The View, dominating discussions with sharp wit, unapologetic liberalism, and a tendency to steamroll anyone with a differing opinion. But when Karoline took the stage, she came with one mission: challenge the narrative, and she did just that. The atmosphere began like any typical episode: laughs, eye rolls, and a panel nodding in unison. But when the topic turned to wokeness, a subject that many on the show have treated like sacred ground, the mood shifted. Whoopi fired the first shot, pointing her finger at Karoline and saying with biting conviction, "Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job." It was a line meant to silence and shame, a tactic that's worked before. But this time was different. Karoline didn't flinch. She didn't roll her eyes or fumble. Instead, she smiled, not arrogantly, but with a calm, confident poise that suggested she was more than ready. And then, she delivered a response that flipped the entire conversation on its head. With facts, data, and composure, Karoline began to deconstruct the very foundation of the show's ideological comfort zone. She cited government reports, exposed taxpayer money being used for questionable woke initiatives like gender studies in Guatemala and politicized children's programming, and highlighted how such policies often do little to benefit actual American citizens. This wasn't rhetoric. This wasn't theater. This was cold, hard truth, and it landed. Suddenly, Whoopi's usual dominance faded. Her confident smirk disappeared. For the first time, she looked rattled. The audience, so often quick to cheer her on, sat silent. It was clear the script had been flipped. Then came Karoline's most devastating point yet. She asked, if wokeness is really about diversity and inclusion, why are conservative women the ones constantly under attack? Why is tolerance only extended to people who agree with your worldview? It was a question that cut deep, and it demanded an answer Whoopi couldn't provide. Desperately trying to regain control, Whoopi stumbled over a few remarks, but the momentum was already gone. Her trademark comebacks failed her. She was cornered in a way audiences had never seen. There was no laugh track to save her, no clever one-liner to brush it off. The tension in the studio was undeniable. For years, Whoopi had been the hammer in every ideological debate, silencing dissent with ease. But now, facing a composed and fearless opponent, she found herself outmatched. Karoline Leavitt didn't just survive The View. She owned it. And in doing so, she exposed the cracks in a media platform that's long claimed moral superiority, reminding viewers everywhere what real debate and courage look like.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women.
Karoline Leavitt silences Whoopi Goldberg, and the internet erupts in a shocking twist that no one saw coming. The View's longtime queen Whoopi Goldberg wasn't just challenged, she was silenced. And the world noticed. The moment Karoline Leavitt calmly but forcefully dismantled Whoopi on national television, the internet exploded. Within minutes, social media was flooded with reactions. Memes of Whoopi's stunned face spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views. People from both sides of the political spectrum weighed in, but one thing was clear. Karoline's appearance had struck a nerve. Her takedown wasn't loud or theatrical, it was razor-sharp, fact-based, and unapologetically bold. And it sent shockwaves through the media landscape. What made it even more astonishing was that this wasn't Whoopi's first controversy. Over the years, she's made headlines for tone-deaf comments, from minimizing the Holocaust to defending problematic public figures, yet she always seemed to walk away untouched. Her position at The View remained secure, her influence unshaken. But not this time. This time, Whoopi underestimated her guest, and it cost her everything. Karoline didn't just push back. She exposed the flaws in Whoopi's carefully built persona. Her arguments were backed by logic and hard evidence, and when Whoopi scrambled for a comeback, she found nothing. The silence spoke volumes. And for perhaps the first time in The View's long and combative history, the ideological tables were turned. The show, known for grilling and often silencing conservative guests, had just been flipped on its head. As the confrontation went viral, the impact on The View became undeniable. For years, Whoopi had reigned as the show's centerpiece, its moral compass, its unshakable voice. But Karoline's appearance changed everything. The fallout was swift and severe. Suddenly, Whoopi's long history of controversial statements wasn't being shrugged off, it was being re-examined. Her unchecked dominance on the show, her habit of shutting down dissent, and her repeated defenses of questionable ideas were now under intense scrutiny. Then came the legal troubles. Lawsuits began stacking up, first from Carrie Underwood, then Elon Musk, and now reportedly from Karoline Leavitt herself. Rumors about the show's inner workings began to leak. Whispers of manufactured controversy for ratings and deliberate silencing of opposing views started circulating online. The glossy image of The View was beginning to crack. Behind the scenes, executives scrambled to do damage control. Advertisers started pulling back, questioning whether they wanted their brands tied to a show now drowning in controversy rather than meaningful conversation. And so, the big question remains: what's next? With Whoopi's dominance shaken, can The View return to the safety of its old formula? Or has this moment marked the beginning of the end for one of daytime TV's most iconic talk shows? For Karoline Leavitt, this wasn't just a debate, it was a defining moment. She walked into the lion's den as an outsider and walked out having reshaped the national conversation. Whether you agree with her or not, one thing is undeniable: The View may never be the same again. So, what do you think? Is Whoopi Goldberg's legacy in danger? Is The View finally losing its grip on daytime television? Can it recover from this PR nightmare, or has a new era begun? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Celeb Nexa for more explosive showdowns, media shakeups, and culture-defining moments.